Well, good morning. Yes, it's me, Kenny Polcari, and I am back in South Florida after having spent the weekend in the marathon in New York City and then working on Monday and Tuesday. And I came back last night. And here I am back in sunny, gorgeous Florida. Today is Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. And here are the things you need to know to get your day started. Well, valuations. Now they're concerned. Anything tech yesterday got slammed, right? Cryptos, they got slammed as well. And the VIX surged up and through trendline resistance. Bonds up, oil was flat, and gold was down. And yes, the election went as expected, and the Democrats swept their races. Nobody should be surprised. And what are we having for dinner? Well, it's Thanksgiving, so I'm going to give you the roast turkey. Well, it's a new world out there. Palantir reported, and they blew out absolutely everything. And what did the algos do? They went into sell mode, selling everything tech, because suddenly they're concerned about valuations. Can you imagine that? Who would have thunk it? The S&P is trading at almost 26 times earnings, and the Nasdaq trading at 38 times earnings, levels that scream stretched. And I guess paying 300 times forward earnings for Palantir isn't really smart either. Funny how it was smart just a week ago, but analysts now calling the situation untenable for investors as the day wore on and the selling intensified. It's really amazing how that happens, right? Anyway, first, let's talk about why it's confusing. Paying 300 times forward earnings for Palantir was perfectly fine just days ago. I mean, if you wanted to be in it, you didn't have a choice, right? You were fearful of missing out, and so you paid it. You didn't want to be the guy at the Christmas party that walked in when everyone's talking about it, and you didn't own it. So you had to make sure you were in it. Now, the selling of Palantir yesterday caused all kinds of anxiousness. It did exactly what you would expect. It accentuated the negatives, and it eliminated anything positive. At least it did yesterday, and it dragged the whole place lower. Now, the negatives were all about valuations suddenly, right? About how this can't go on and about how big does the bubble have to get before it pops. The negatives were also seen in commentary coming out of some of the big bank and the asset managers, right? The C-suite and those companies telling us that the possibility of a pullback was a reality. Can you believe that? Amazing how they come up with this. In fact, the headline that really kind of ignited it was this famed investor, Michael Burry, remember of the housing crisis fame, has taken a big short position, a bet against Palantir and NVDA. And that did not help the tone. So let me define it. He made a $1.1 billion bet against those two companies by buying put options that increase in value exponentially if the stock price falls. And fell they did. Palantir lost 8%, NVIDIA was down 4%. Suffice it to say that Mikey, well, he had a good day yesterday. After the bell, AMD reported, and guess what? They disappointed. The media says that it failed to impress. And this morning, the stock is down 5.5% on top of the 3.7% loss yesterday. The VIX surged by 10.8% yesterday, trading up and through long-term trendline resistance, and is up another 3% this morning. The surge caused anything tech, almost anything, to take it on the chin. The Nasdaq lost 486 points or 2%. The Mag 7 gave back 786 points or 2.3%. Disruptive tech gave up 5.3%. Semis lost 4%. Cyber gave up 2.5%. AI and robotics lost 2.5%. Software lost 3.2%. Expanded tech gave back 2.6%. The list goes on. The Dow gave up 251 points or 0.5%. The S&P gave up 80 points or 1.2%. The Russell gave up 44 points or 1.8%, now taking it down through the short-term trend line. The equal-weight S&P gave up 48 points or 0.6%. Interestingly, the transports gained 80 points or 0.5%. Now, remember, the transports are flat on the year. They have been the underperformer. So it is not a surprise to see money move into that sector. It's cheap compared to its brethren that are up double digits, right? 15, 18, 20%. Cryptos, well, they got slammed as well. Bitcoin trading down below 100,000 and test 98,900, now down 21% off the October high and below all three trend lines as it looks for stability. The chart suggests that it might find it at around 99,000. Ethereum also got clocked trading down through all three trend lines to trade as low as 3,059. This morning, Bitcoin's trading at 101,000 and Ethereum's trading at 3,300. Of the 11 S&P sectors, it was not really a disaster. Financials ended the day higher, up 0.5%. Consumer staples up 0.4. Healthcare up 0.5%. And real estate, of all things, gaining 0.3%. The other eight S&P sectors did end lower. Tech down 2.6, consumer discretionary down 1.7, industrials down 1.2, and energy down 1.1, communications down 0.7, basic materials down 0.5%, utilities down 0.4. The contra trades, well, they had a great day. The dog was up 0.6, the PSQ up 2%. The SH up 1.2, SPSX up 3.6%, the VIX was up 4%. Bonds gained, reversing their recent string of losses. The TLT and TLH up 0.2, leaving yields on the 10-year at 4.08% and the 30-year at 4.66%. 30-year mortgages remain at the 6.2% range. 12-month CDs are paying you 4%, and your government money market fund in your brokerage account is paying you 3.8%. Oil continues to churn in line at $60.70 and remains in that 55, 62, 50 trading range. Nothing new to see here. The Saudis are going to slow production, but we know that in the new year, and that's going to manage the glut while prices are expected to kind of settle in the $55, $60 range. Gold fell $72 at 1.8%, taking it to a low of $39.37. This is it also tries to find stability. Trendline support is down at $38.80. On a side note, yesterday was election day, and as expected, all of the blue states elected Democrats. Nobody should be surprised. The message was clear. Voters are tired of the same people running the show. Virginia and New Jersey both elected women governors who promised to challenge the status quo, while New York City went to a 34-year-old man that has virtually no executive experience, has never had a full-time private sector job, and has never managed a budget, signed a payroll, or been accountable to anything. It raises questions, not about his background or identity, but about competence, preparedness, and the direction of the city. In any event, New York City is screaming that they are tired of the same old. And if this is any view about what happens next, you can say goodbye to Chucky as well. And Mondani made it very clear that he's ready to fight Trump on every level. Ego data today includes mortgage apps. They were down 1.9%. ADP employment expectations for 30,000 new jobs. S&P Global Services PMI of 55.2, that's expansionary, along with ISM Services PMI of 50.8, also expansionary. Services prices paid is expected to be out. That's expected to show a slight decrease, which is a positive. The earnings parade continues, and if the trend holds, then we're going to expect 82% of them to beat on the top and bottom line and offer robust guidance going forward. U.S. futures, well, they remain under pressure. At 7:15 this morning, Dow futures were down 30, SP's down 20, the Nasdaq was down 102, and the Russell was actually up 3 points. European markets are all lower, down about 0.5% across the board. The S&P closed at 67.71, down 80 points. And as always, I wait 24 to 48 hours after we see a move like we saw yesterday, just so I see how it all settles down, right? Remember, it's always worse on the way down because buyers just step aside and they let the sellers get crazy and see how anxious they get. Yesterday, I said that I thought that we might test 67.75-ish, down about 1.1%. Well, we tested 67.66. Before bouncing to end the day at 67.75. The weakness this morning is going to take us below yesterday's low in the minutes after the market opens, right? If we remain weak where we are. And if that fails to hold, then the trend line would be the next logical step. And that's down at 66.47, which is down about 1.8% from here. Something that is not out of the question, not something that I think is going to happen today, but I am not ruling it out over the next couple of days. Remember, once they focus on the negatives, then they only focus on the negatives until suddenly they don't. They get some headline that changes the tone, and next thing you know, they focus on the positives and they take the market right back up. Remember, we could trade lower and still be considered in this normal trading pattern, and it won't feel good, it will feel very uncomfortable, but it would be considered normal. Now, while I don't think it's going to happen today that we're going to trade much lower, I'm just making it clear that if the algos spin out of control, again, it could get ugly quickly. And if you thought yesterday was ugly, hold your hats, because that wasn't ugly yet. Now, bottom line, the ground is shifting just enough to keep everybody on their toes, but so you stay focused, you stay disciplined, and don't get sucked into the noise. Because in the end, discipline beats the drama. Here's your countdown. 36 days into the government shutdown. But we think now that the election over, it's going to come to an end. 24 days until official Black Friday, 50 days until Christmas, 56 days until the ball drops in Times Square. Now, you got a second? Let's review your plan. Call me for a complimentary, no obligation portfolio analysis, 561-931-0190. That goes direct to me, my cell phone. Give me a buzz. I will answer. Now, what are we having for Thanksgiving? Well, you always have juicy roast turkey, so this is exactly what I'm going to give you. Because Thanksgiving is coming, and to celebrate here, I'm going to offer up the turkey, because turkeys are funny. If you don't pay attention, they get to dry out a lot, and they really don't end up being good. So try this one on for size. For this, you need the turkey. You need carrot, celery, onions, butter, salt, and pepper. You need an apple. You need an orange. You need sage, rosemary, thyme, chicken broth, and a splash of champagne. Begin by rinsing and draining the defrosted turkey. I say this because some people think it's okay to cook a frozen turkey. No, it's not. Be sure to take your turkey out of the freezer on Monday and let it sit in the fridge to defrost. By Wednesday afternoon, it should be ready. And if it isn't, take it out, put it on the counter on Tuesday, and let it defrost even faster. Make sure to remove the bag and the giblets and the neck all from the cavity of the turkey. Let it dry out. Rinse it, let it dry out. Pat it dry with paper towels. Now, on Wednesday evening, mix all of the seasonings together and set those aside. Place the turkey in a roasting pan. Next, take some softened butter and massage the turkey, the breast, the legs, the thighs. Now, rub the seasonings into the turkey, making sure that you season all of it. Now, cut up the apple and the orange into slices, place it in the cavity, rough chop the vegetables and place it all around the turkey, and also you can put some in the cavity as well. Feel free to quarter up some of the roasting potatoes if you want, and include them too, not in the cavity, but just around in the pan with the veggies. Now, return this to the fridge until Thursday morning. On Thursday morning, preheat your oven to 400 degrees, but you get up early because, you got a big turkey. It's going to take time to cook. Take the turkey out of the fridge, add some chicken broth, and a splash of your favorite champagne. Don't ask why. It's champagne. Just enjoy it. Tent the turkey then with tinfoil. Make sure you seal it tight all around. Place it in the middle rack and let it roast for 20 minutes or so at 400 degrees. After 30 minutes, you should let it roast. After that, reduce the temperature to 325 degrees and then let it cook. 12 to 15 minutes per pound, so figure it out. 20 pounds is 240 to 300 minutes. That's like 4 to 4.5 hours. When you have about 30 minutes left, take the foil off, put it back in the oven, allow it to crisp up and get nice and golden brown. Once it's done, remove it from the oven, let it rest for 15 minutes or so, then keep it covered to maintain the warmth. And then when you're ready, just slice it and serve it. Serve it with all the vegetables, plus any of the other vegetables that you're going to make, mashed potatoes, sweet potato pie, green beans, whatever else it is you're going to make. A big salad, naturally, you have to have with Thanksgiving Day turkey. In any event, the day has just begun. Until tomorrow, take good care.